Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Talbert. I'm with the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. Does everybody know what that group does? Huh? Everybody knows, okay. This is the Overtown Performing Arts Center, OPAC. By a show of hands, how many, is this your first time in OPAC? Oh, look at that. Wow. Now, by a show of hands, how many is this the last time they're going to be here? That's good. Excellent. A couple of quick things. I got a call this afternoon from Audrey Edmondson. She is the chair of the county commission. They had a pretty good meeting, county commission meeting today. She intended to be here, but she ran out of steam. So her spirit is here, and she fully intended to be here, but she's handed off the baton to us, and so what we're going to do here is very quickly go around, and if you would introduce yourselves, other than the Bureau team, introduce yourselves and maybe stand up and do that and let us know who you work for, but don't give us your life story and why you're here. You're going to get a chance, and then we're going to listen. But we found if we can know who's in the room, I think that helps us. So with that, we have a gentleman with the bow tie. Please go. Come on, let's go. Let's go. You don't need to be in. Yeah, come on, stand up.
Good afternoon. Whoa. Eric Knowles, president of the Miami-Dade Chamber, board member of the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau.
All right.
Good evening. Keon Williams, assistant director with Urban Philanthropies, and also the Urban, which is a venue here located in Overtown.
You're going to get
Yvette Harris, Harris Public Relations.
I'm a bureau member.
Well, we want to hear you.
Good evening, everyone. Rosie Gordon-Wallace, Art of Black Miami.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Margie, and I represent CHAT. We are the Cultural Heritage Alliance for Tourism.
We know CHAT. Here we go.
Nicole Gates, I'm the president and CEO of Overtown Media, and I'm managing partner of Lil Greenhouse Grill and Good Bread Alley's Sophisticated Soul Food.
Somebody new here? Somebody snuck in? Okay. Please, stand up, ma'am.
Anita McGruder, retired educator.
Retired educator.
Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany Ortiz. I work for Stephanie Crates as a community liaison.
Thank you. Hello, good evening everyone. My name is Judy Barr. I am the founder of a nonprofit organization, the Iron Bar Group, where we work with young people in the performing arts to just give them a platform to display their talents and empower, encourage, and motivate them within the inner city community. And we've been established for some time now, since '94. Thank you.
Almost hit the 2 minutes there. Okay. Here, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ayo Salvador. I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. I've been living in Miami for about 15 years, and about 3 years ago, I started a tourism company. The interest of the company is to let everyone know to take advantage of doing business in Nigeria. That's the largest country we have in Africa, for almost about 170 million people, and your money is going to be very, very worth in making it. I'm going next week. I should be back by the end of April. So whoever are interested in going to Africa for the first time, you see the right guy standing here with a very small money. It's a pleasure to be here.
That's 3 minutes. Okay.
Good evening, Celia Nelson with Urgent Inc.
Thank you. Let's hear it for her.
Cheryl Mizell, Marketing and Communications, African Heritage Cultural Arts Center.
Here, let's hear it for that, too.
Good evening, Alice Eason with Gals on Run Catering. We have the best comforters in Dade County.
All right.
Good evening, Gal Sundaran.
Chair Hardiman? No.
Good evening. My name is Mark Stallworth from the Office of Commissioner Keon Hardiman, City of Miami.
Let's hear it for Keon Hardiman. Come on. If you don't clap, he'll hear about it, right? He's responsible for a lot of this place, right? Is this his house?
Yes.
Keon Hardiman's house.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joanna Whiteley, co-founder of the Golden Strokes Collective, and we aim to use visual arts to empower the community.
Hi, I'm Robbie Bell, and people think I sell real estate. In reality, I sell the South Florida lifestyle magic.
Good evening. I'm Kimberly Fortson. I'm a social science teacher in the Miami-Dade County Public School System.
Good evening. I'm Karen Moore, and I'm from Miami. And I work with New Synergies Consulting, and we work on expanding and enhancing community, economic, and cultural assets.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Naomi St. Paul, and I'm an area sales executive with Marriott International Hotels.
Double. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lillian Lopez. I'm with the area sales team with Marriott International, representing the Miami Marriott Biscayne Bay.
Marriott points.
There we go. Here you go.
All right. I'm Taylor Robinson, and I'm representing the Rum Cake Factory.
Nemo Williams, Nemo's Ooh Wow, and Folk Life Friday.
Jerome Hutchison, ICOPA.
Peter Bailey, Nightcap Media.
Everybody getting tall. Let's stand up again, please. Please.
My son.
I look up to him.
Good evening, Tariq Bazid, Midtown Miami CDD.
Trina Harris, Director of Touching Mine with Love and Overtown Business Owner.
Natalia Sangster, Office of Commissioner Keon Hardiman.
Joe Louis Saint. My voice, I'm sorry. Joe Louis Saint, Show Technology, Audiovisual Production Company.
Good evening. Diana Ewing, Show Technologies, Audiovisual Production Company.
You know Joe? You don't need an introduction, do you? There's two people here, three people.
Want me to do something? My name is Andy Ingram. I'm the president of the National Association of Black Hotel Owners, Operators, and Developers, and we just opened a new 65-room hotel 3 blocks away from here called the new Hilton Lifestyle Curio Collection. I'll give it back to you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandy Dorsonville. I'm the executive producer for Sounds of Little Haiti.
Let me do this. I'm going to get around here. This is a lady who needs no introduction. Please, Carol Ann, stand up, please. Carol Ann have been together, what, 35 years? Or more, yes. 35 or more years. We're just starting, right? We've been along, but Carol Ann Taylor is a mother and father and the grandmother and the grandfather of multicultural programs, been on the board of the Greater Miami Convention Visitor Bureau, I think before it was formed. So introduce yourself, Carol Ann.
Carol Ann Taylor, Miami to go, but I actually work for the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Derek Cole, photographer.
Xavier Charles with Cool Casual Entertainment.
Ernisha Randolph with Sweet Butter Hospitality Group and Juanita's Kitchen.
Shawnee Alicia Randolph, CEO of Shuckin' and Jivin' Restaurant under the Sweet Butter Hospitality Group.
Good evening, everyone. Melanie Fleury. I'm a culinary arts teacher at Booker T. Washington Senior High School.
See, a lot of folks here, just a second, have been involved in reading about history. but there's a number of folks have made history, but Dorothy Fields has saved it and written it. So Dorothy Fields, introduce yourself.
All right. Good evening, Dr. Dorothy Jenkins Fields. How exciting it is to have you here and to have this in Overtown. Give him a hand. Woo-wee. We've been waiting a long time, and I have come from Pittsburgh to be here, and I brought my grandchildren all the way from the snow, our cool Black and Mary Black. Thanks to Carol Ann and Bill, we're going to have and Connie and Petra and Graylin. Let's get this party started. In fact, it's already started. Let's roll on. We're going to make it happen.
How you guys doing? My name is Andre Soul Williams. I am the CEO of iUrban TV, representative of the Circle of Brotherhood and Business Development Council at the Overtown Business Resource Center, and also elected seat to the Overtown Oversight Advisory Board.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fred McNair. I'm the sole person who takes care of the OPAC. Welcome. And since the lady of the house is here, I am still part of the Lyric Theater.
All right, Lyric Theater. Thank you very much.
Good evening to you all. My name is Charles C. Scott II, the Director of Outreach for Congresswoman Frederica S. Wilson, Congressional District FL24. Thank you so much for having me.
I can't match up. You want the party to start?
Yes.
Dr. Fields, or the party's going to start. So I've got here Connie Kennard. Are you in the house? Connie, stand up. Now, this is the time where I get to sit down, get quiet, and go in the back and enjoy and say I'm not going to say anything, but maybe sometimes I'm going to jump up. But our choir leader tonight is Connie Kennard, the Vice President of the Multicultural Tourism and Development Department of your Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. So take it away, Connie.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And really, I'm going to make it quick because we have a lot of great engagement to get to. But first, I just want to thank you for being here. It makes a difference. A lot of you we've partnered with in some form or fashion. A lot of you we reached out to specifically to come. You got emails from probably Petra, from myself, and you're here tonight. And your voice matters. As we were talking about earlier, we had a focus group before this meeting. A lot of the information that was shared, I guess 5 years, or before this one's announcement, about 5 years ago, really is the reason, hopefully, that you've seen some of the things that we're doing progressing and taking multiculturalism and diversity to the next level. But those things happen because of a voice 5 years ago, right? And so now things are growing, Miami is growing, and your voice tonight will make a difference. And we just really appreciate you. And I just want to personally thank you. Now, I'll be 4 years here as of June 1st. And really, many of you in this room, I know, right? It's just passed. I'll just have to say, many of you in this room have been just supporters from a business level and even from a personal level, and it really means a lot. Thank our committee chair, Carol Ann Taylor. Thank Dr. Dorothy Fields, who's been a supporter. Of course, our full board of directors, Eric here, and just the whole community, because the saying that it takes a village is the truth, and we know that it takes a village in order to move forward. The last thing I want to say is that I think we will have a total of 15 of these strategic sessions before it's over. You are here tonight in Overtown. We're grateful. We're going to have some great dialogue. But a personal request is that you tell your friends, you tell other businesses, folks that look like you as well, to also participate in some of the other forums, all right? Because tonight is a diverse night, but we want to make sure that every forum that happens has diversity and that it's a main forefront during each discussion. So if you can spread the word, I personally would appreciate it. We all would. So thank you. Rolando?
Thank you, Connie. So folks, let's give Connie a hand. She's been an amazing team member, and I remember clearly when she entered our offices almost 4 years ago, she made a lot of friends because she brought those amazing Google clusters from back home. So those made quite the impression. And as Bill said, she's been an amazing choir leader, and I think it's appropriate. We're here in the historic OPAC. It used to be Ebenezer Methodist Church, so I think this is one of the great venues of what is becoming one of the most exciting parts of our community, downtown Miami, Overtown, Little Havana, these cultural neighborhoods which have been at the forefront of our multicultural marketing efforts, thanks to not only Bill's leadership, Carol Ann Taylor. I'm Rolando Aedo. I've been with the Convention and Visitors Bureau for more than 20 years, so I've kind of grown up at the Convention and Visitors Bureau working closely with Bill and, of course, Merritt Steerheim before then. I have a dual role at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I'm the Chief Operating Officer. I also serve as the de facto Chief Marketing Officer, and I have the privilege of not only doing what I do, but there's an amazing team of marketers and sales folks. A lot of them are in the room. And they're at your disposal. Any questions that you may have on the variety of things that we do on behalf of the community, that's why they're here for. So you probably have about 15 team members, head of PR, head of marketing, social media, sales. They're in the room, and they will be available as resources not only during the session, but any questions after that. We're scheduled to go on until about 8 o'clock. In a moment, I'll turn it over to our facilitators. And before I do that, Connie alluded to the fact that we do this every 5 or 6 years. And this process is so important because we're building the roadmap for this community's #1 industry for the next 5 years or so. When we did this last time, there was a couple of key priority items that were identified as growth opportunities. One of them, and I'll put that one at the top of the list, was multicultural tourism. You know, we've been celebrating our community's diversity for many, many years, but there was an opportunity to do even more. And we've been doing more. And part of that was establishing our multicultural tourism department, and led by Connie with the support of many others. The other thing that was part of that important list was finalizing our convention center renovation. And that happened. We just opened up our new convention center, which creates an amazing opportunity for us to bring in more business into this community, more meetings, more conventions. And just a few months ago, they approved a new headquarter hotel right next to it. So hopefully that'll break ground soon. So those were just two of the key things that came out of the last effort. It called for expanded international marketing. We've done that as well. It called for an expanded digital marketing effort. And without getting into too many of the details of the last plan, I did want to share that with you because this plan it doesn't just sit on the shelf and gather dust. This roadmap that you're helping build with us tonight will become a living, breathing document that will serve as the foundation as we develop our marketing plans year over year with a lot of input. So really important process, and I think it's only appropriate that we're here in this amazing facility, former church, to inspire. You know, this is a very spiritual experience for all of us, so please feel free to contribute to that. So to help us develop this plan, as we did many years ago and as we did recently, we went through a very comprehensive, competitive, open RFP process to identify consultants that could help us do this. And we've done this every year, and we assemble a committee. And again, Carol Ann, you mentioned that you work for us because I know you were on that committee and many, many others. But that's the way that we do business at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Open, inclusive, we want people's opinion, and then we make informed decisions. And the decision we made this time, and it wasn't the same consultant that we used last time, was identifying a best-in-breed firm that could help facilitate not only a great town hall meeting. We've been doing a variety of activities, including the one earlier today across the street. So this process is many months in the making, and we won't be done for another several months. The 14 other town hall meetings, we're doing a series of interviews and focus groups, will then all be built into this plan that you're helping create. So thank you for being part of that process. And as Bill said earlier, you're not going to hear too much more from Bill, myself, the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We're here to hear from you. And the people that will allow us to hear from you and facilitate the session are the firm that we've hired to help us do that, and that is Intravistas. They have an amazing track record of doing this in destinations not only across the country, but across the world. You'll be hearing from a variety of their key team members, but I'm going to start with the project manager, Sonia Murray. So Sonia, take it away.
Thanks, Rolando. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. We know you don't have lots of time in your very busy day, so we really appreciate the time you're going to take with us tonight. So we are leading the strategic plan, as Rolando said, and there are many elements to that plan, which are outlined behind me. Many of you are familiar with strategic plans. They act as a guide. You might be saying to yourself, why does Miami need a strategic plan? It's a great destination. It is, right out of the gate. It's been a wonderful place to come for many, many years. But the world has changed a lot, and there's a lot of places for people to go that have a lot of fabulous offerings. And also the type of visitor has changed a lot. What visitors like, even in the last couple of years have changed. It's a lot about experiences now. So the wonderful thing about Miami is that it offers so much, and there's a lot here that really could be played up that is sort of underplayed. And so these town halls and focus groups that we're going through are helping us to pull out the nuggets that are going to really drive us over the next 5 years. And what this plan is going to do is identify new opportunities to bring in new visitors, to expand the visitors, and also to help enhance the GMCBB's role in that. So without further delay, I'm going to pass this off to Michelle, and she's going to talk a little bit more about some of our community engagement activities.
Good evening, everybody. There's so many faces I see in the audience, and I'm so excited because I know this discussion is going to be juicy. It's going to be really, really good. So let me just start off by letting you know what we are doing as it relates to stakeholder and community engagement activities. We are hosting 70 plus one-on-one interviews. Some of you, we've already had the interviews, and we have gathered some really good information. We're going to have 2 workshops, meetings, some of which have already happened, and we have a visioning workshop. 15 town hall meetings. You're number 2 in a series of 15. So we heard a lot of good information over out west in Hialeah yesterday. We know we're going to hear some great information today right here in Overtown. 4 focus group sessions. Actually, I guess it was 5 because we had a special one today. Some of you were a part of that. Good content was received, and it can be added into that strategic plan to have a successful completion of it. And then we have some surveys and some Destination Next assessments, which I think Paul is going to tell you a little bit more about. So we're going to get started with the town hall discussion, and I just want to give you an idea of how it's going to go. We're going to have 4 key questions. They're going to be centered around awareness and brand of Greater Miami, visitor experiences, quality of life for residents, and new initiatives for the GMCBB. This will be input that you give. So we are not going to have any content that's off limits. We understand we're going to hear a lot of good stuff. We're going to start with the first question. We're going to take about 15 minutes per question. The first being, how can we and the tourism industry help create more awareness of this area among visitors? Now, as I said, we had a little pre-session. We got some good information. Even if we hear that again, we don't want to miss any of it. So who's going to start us off on the speed round? Yvette? Okay.
Well, we have a bright line train, and I'm not sure what the outreach or the relationship has been with the community and bright line. So that would be one of the ways that we could increase tourism from the residents that are coming from Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach, and then when it continues to Orlando as well.
Okay.
I've got a mic here, Michelle.
We know GMCB is a great marketing machine, but in my experience with some of the marketing that's been done for Little Haiti specifically, it's usually in urban or magazines or publications of color. But I think if we want to increase the number of tourists that come into Little Haiti, we need to market Little Haiti in publications and in media that is not necessarily for people of color or for people locally.
All right, thank you. Mr. Knowles.
I would say it's a leading destination in terms of cruise ships. We probably could do a better job with those folks who come in to Miami prior to sailing as well as after they sail.
Thank you.
I think that marketing our neighborhoods, our heritage neighborhoods, with a specific brand to culture. And the definition of culture for me is the sight of the place, the smell of the place, so the food, and the music of the place. And that would define us as a heritage neighborhood that people could plan to visit.
And just to let everyone know, we have scribed, all of your comments are being taken down, as well as this is being recorded.
First, before we do any of that, we have to change the narrative of what Overtown is. We need to get a more positive narrative of what Overtown is and what Overtown can be before we produce anything else. So let's change the narrative of what people think about Overtown and what goes on in Overtown before we bring any more people outside.
That's a very correct statement. I was about to add something to that. The other part to this is signage. I run into people in Brickell who can't figure out how to get out of Brickell to get to the train, to get to where they're going, let alone to get to Brightline. And I have trouble trying to figure out where the hell Brightline is. And I know it's right around here somewhere, but exactly where, because we need directional things. We need things people can see and read and use.
Exposed a lot to foreigners visiting South Florida, as well as Americans coming here. And one of the things that they all face with is, what is beyond the lack of flavor? What is the very African Americans? We are the other ethnic groups. We have 119 languages spoken in public schools. Most people communicate with the Spanish aspect of things. And I think that the tourism in Europe as a whole needs to definitely mark itself up beyond this Latin flavor. There's a whole culture history here, the Afro-American perspective. There's the Spanish history as well, as well as the Caribbean flavor, the Franco-American and Haitian concepts. There's a huge Canadian history back in South Florida, especially yes, just north of here. And so when you have people coming in for Basel, for instance, and they ask me, what else is there beyond salsa and paella? And I have to direct in certain parts of South Florida to find soul food and things of that kind. It's critical because, quite frankly, not everyone comes to South Florida looking to find a new aspect of South Florida. They want to find cultural elements. And just now, just putting Bill's code about Brownsville and Liberty City. He got his teeth in Brownsville. He knows what we're talking about. But very seldom do we hear in Brownsville any publications or kind of literature and videos in South Florida. We have elements here that truly need to be recognized. Some faith is agricultural aspects. These are the kind of things we want to find organic foods and things.
do is to do a lot of security. And then in African side, a lot of Africans love to be here. We are come from Lagos, it's just like Miami or New York. So we're going to be having a lot of exchange of programs, especially among the students. All we need to do, we need to give them good security and then we go around the town and see what the town looks like. Thank you.
Yes. As being the self-proclaimed mayor of Overtown, I do some of everything. I didn't even tell you everything, but I think that one of the things that we need to do, especially amongst this area here, because Overtown is my area, we need to do events here that are intentional. But they don't need to be super duper grandiose events, right? Big events. They need to be small, intimate events at places like Nicole's place, which is Little Greenhouse Square. It needs to be intentional. And it needs to be, I notice whenever I go, when I moved into New Orleans, I've been to New Orleans. New Orleans is the bomb. And every place I went, I had an experience. And I was prompted to take pictures just because I was having an experience there. I have experience here, I have experience here. So we need to create that experience. One last thing I want to close with is that I was a part of a group called Plant Beats. And we used to do Winwood before Winwood was Winwood. We did this big block party, and I used to MC it. And I would have 200 people around because we'd be doing dancing, breaking, and all that other good stuff. And Winwood was not populated the way it is now. When I started my company, Urban TV, we went down there and we used to take pictures. And when we went and took pictures, other people asked us after we posted, where did you take that picture at? And so then they began to start taking pictures. And that's how Winwood became Winwood, simply because people just said, hey, this is where we take the pictures at. And they started doing the walks with the wine tasting, and people like to drink. I'm not a drinker. But that's how it grew into what it is now, where they're selling properties there for billions of dollars. Millions of dollars, sorry, not billions of dollars. So we need to create that experience here in Overtown. And maybe if some of it is intentional, but also intimate, then it'll grow into something big.
I am a firm believer that if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach him to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. It is so important that we educate business owners on how to properly use the social media and apps and applications that apply to tourism. So if the question is, how can we and the tourism industry help create more awareness, then let's educate ourselves and the businesses on how to properly use Yelp, how to properly use Google, how to properly use TripAdvisor. It goes far beyond your personal Facebook or Instagram page. You're only reaching a certain group. And now, if you've noticed, you're reaching even less of your group, depending on what your advertisement looks like. So what I would like to see is even the GMCV getting involved, GMCVB getting involved with maybe offering workshops on how to properly utilize Yelp, how to properly utilize TripAdvisor, because there is a buying mechanism that takes place that would fit within your budget, that teaches you how to strategically pick the demographics that you need to target, and therefore you'll capture the audience that you want to capture. Because for those of us that travel, you know, I think when we have our businesses, we forget how we use travel applications. If you just use it the same way and apply it to your business, I believe that you'll see more people through the door. But workshops on how to properly use these programs that offer also discounts on buying the advertising on these programs will be very helpful.
Thank you. We talk about the rich history of Overtown, and from a local standpoint, we are all aware locally of the richness of this community in terms of history and how far it goes back into the days of, and I have to say, the Lyric Theater. Locally, we are aware of all of those things. We also boast about the multiculturalism here in Miami, and I'm speaking as a native, as someone who was raised local, grew up in Miami, saw the changes, and now doing the small part that I can do. But with this, I want to take advantage of this opportunity to say how we boast about multiculturalism. We have a very diverse community. We're very aware of that. And each community has its own history. We are aware of that. We also are aware of some of the divisiveness between our communities. So I think this is a great opportunity as a collective effort, and I do see us an attempt to come together, but we can't have the riches and be promoting one community and not the other. And how can we have the richness here, but it also, we're aware that it takes economic development to, if they get on Yelp or are those visitors research Overtown, what attraction are they coming to see? The hotel that's being built, trying to find Brightline, like the point that was made. So what we need to do, obviously our community have a responsibility to do our part, to make sure that Brightline can be found, the hotel that's being built, to rich history. It's our responsibility, obviously, to create an attraction for them to come to. And then collectively, the collective effort economically stands with the tourism board and committee, as well as other communities, to work together. We have to bridge that fabric that divides us when the cameras are not here. We have to bridge that gap when the funds come in economically, that they are put into Wynwood community and they're put into Overtown community, so that Overtown can have something to share, so that when the people come in to visit, we have something attractive. And it's not just a conversation, but it's a collective effort. And the train is moving, and the party is beginning when the cameras are not on. When the cameras are off, when we all leave this room and disassemble and we go back to our boards, and all the people who have the means to write a check for funding economically to work with the Overtown committee so that we can build an attraction. And one idea that I think would be great and effective and wonderful is to build on the rich history of Harlem, because we know that the African American influence is we all have wonderful influence on every community. That's not to take away. We know that. Just like we can publicly say that Miami is known now for salsa. Why? Because people who are proud of their rich history. So when we can publicly say in Overtown, we're proud of the soul, we're proud of the jazz, we're proud of the voices and the dances and the culture, and we should not be judged in some type of way because of that pride. And we should be able to write to economically and fair practice input or disperse the funds for this community to help build that effort, and then collectively bind the fabrics together that divide us. And then I can see change in this community that I can sit down and be proud of. And not just me, but our young people, because our young people see the vision, and we need to work on that level. And I think change is coming, and it will be a stronger Miami, and people will be excited to come here, and we won't have the experiences of the spring break of what we see now, but they'll come dancing, they'll come proud, because each heritage or everyone has something. And don't just think that someone is just coming to see their culture, because we travel abroad so that we can see differences. So we want that same experience for Miami. Thank you.
I think just 2 points. One, we a couple months ago, late last year, we did the historic night out in Overtown, where that was a walking tour. It visited several of the restaurants. It visited a space called Tribe, and it was about maybe 100 people attended that tour. I think more of those that are intentionally designed. I think there was like a budget set up. It was ran through Nootropic, so it was a lot of partners involved to have an intentional tour coming through here, stopping at the restaurants that are in the area, or even here. They even stopped here as well and had like a little party here. So those things I think are very important, and I know there's resources being allocated to do those types of things in certain neighborhoods. I think more of that is needed in this area here. And just somebody mentioned it earlier about changing the narrative of Overtown. We just had an event Saturday. Almost 4,000 people attended this event. Not one single incident in Overtown. The City of Miami Police Department tweeted about this, as well as shared on their Facebook, and how proud they were to be in Overtown with not one single incident. You talk about over 4,000 college-age kids, spring breakers, who are coming down and wanted to have fun in Miami, and they did it here in the historic Overtown. So I just want to point that out as well.
Testing 1, 2, 3. How you doing? My name is Keith Dowry. I'm with Cultural Heritage Alliance Tours Chat. standpoint of doing tours a lot here in Miami is that the training of tour guides with other tour guide companies, training them on history of Miami, not just the Henry Flagg or the Junior Tuttle, but history, for example, dealing with Little Haiti. How important that the revolution in 1804 in Little Haiti, when the French, the Portuguese were pushed out of Haiti, how that revolution in 1804 affected the United States with the, now that the French didn't have enough army power, how that ended up getting the second half, the other half of the United States with the Louisiana Purchase. Also, information for tour guides regarding what is called Fisher Island, used to be Dorsey Island. Okay, David Dorsey, first black millionaire in Miami. This is the type of history that is not being put out to people that are coming here to really give them an idea of what the land is about, how the diversity has history here in Miami and the southeast part of the United States, how it has affected the rest of the world. People come from French, Germany, all over the world. More training, more cultural training of tour guides and tour guide companies to be able to put this information out to the public that's coming in. So more diversified training for tour guides that are non-African American or non-Black.
Still with number one? Okay, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was just thinking that there's an opportunity to combine like your local rewards or a loyalty rewards program with a social media program that can focus on spotlighting local businesses. So let's say, for instance, you did a Me in Miami campaign. So as people come out and they travel throughout Miami, you could have placards in a business where the person can take a picture of themselves in that business, promoting the business, promoting Miami, tie it into social media so that when they post it, as they get their likes, then you can give them some type of rewards.
Cool.
That would spread and create, if you will, local flavor, focus on businesses, people being here, having a good time.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that's a good idea. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to question number 2, and Sonia's going to take that question.
Thank you. Those were all really good comments. There's a lot of good energy and ideas in this room. Just as an aside, right before we came here, we had a poster a block away with about 15 to 18 small businesses that were either from Overtown or in the surrounding areas. And what we learned really is it doesn't seem like there's as much you guys need to create as to build awareness, because there is a lot here. So thank you for those comments. Question 2, what are the best experiences for visitors in the surrounding area today? What is missing or could be expanded? Nothing's missing.
Hi everybody, my name is Margie and I'm with Chat. And the question is, what are the best experiences for visitors in this surrounding areas? We're talking about Overtown. There's so much to showcase. There's so much that the community is willing to share, to collaborate, to be part of people that want to come and have the experience of like, ooh, Overtown. You know, because it's not like that. There's a lot of good things happening. Development is going on, you know, but the other part is what is missing or could be expanded. The local business owners need to have the education, the resources, and the best part is to make them feel that they are the tourism that's happening here. It doesn't make, it will not make a difference if we do not get those people involved, because then what we just have is just a structural buildings standing and having people working with non-profit organizations just to keep stand to make it happen. So it's not reinventing the wheel, it's not having that missing link and have everybody be part of that whole, and we all support each other and we continue to grow grow and expand all the beautiful surrounding areas that Overtown has to offer for the locals and for those that want to visit and have that tangible experience to talk about it. Because that's the review that's going to show up for everybody. So we stick together and we make everybody as one, you know, we can make great things happen. And that, I think the missing part is that. Thank you.
So I would say easy access. What's missing? I'm a pedestrian, so I'm going to say easy access because there is no easy access to Overtown, specifically Overtown. You know, there's a trolley that's running somewhere, but I don't believe it's running over here. Walkability. I was going to park up the street, and then when I go up the street, it's about 700 people with a blanket on the sidewalk right here around the corner. So I really honestly didn't want to park over there and walk back. So, you know, it's these little nuanced things. I know we can't move the homeless out of here, but those are issues that do have to be dealt with for people to feel like they can walk somewhere and go somewhere. A way to get here that doesn't require an arm and a leg, a taxi or what have you. So that's from that standpoint. Crossing the street. And people respect a pedestrian. We have the highest rate of deaths for pedestrian. So if they just wanted to walk from Biscayne to here, somebody might get hit. That's not a good thing. So that's it.
I'm going to piggyback on what Margie said, but I'm going to take it a step further. Access, and I think easier access to the funds that are supposed to be allocated for the businesses that are in this community. We should not have to jump through red tape. We should not have to it should not be almost impossible for businesses that are already operating in this community to receive the funds they need to expand, to receive the funds they need to do proper advertising. It is really an insult when you are operating a business in the community and people get more excited about a business that has not even gotten here yet, hasn't even started. But yet you don't want to put in the time and the effort and the education and the funds. Which, by the way, if you are operating a business, you are contributing your tax dollars to those particular funds. Those businesses that are operating in this community should not have such a hard time receiving the funding that they need so that they can be marketable, so they can be productive, hire the proper staff they need to hire, do the repairs to the building they need to do, paint, build, get better products, invest in your own. And I think you'll start to see, because everyone's talking about how special Miami is, how special Overtown is. It's because somebody made it special before you stepped in here. So invest back in those people who did that. And that's money too. Thanks. Yeah.
To address the question of what is missing or could be expanded, I just was thinking, what activities have I enjoyed in other areas that could possibly be brought here? A while ago, I took a cruise, and one of the stops was Key West. And one of the excursions was a bike tour. And it was so enjoyable. We had a very informative tour guide, and we went in and out of different areas. Most of you are aware of what's there in Key West, you know, Hemingway's Place and all around. And on top of the exercise, it was just such a wonderful cultural experience. It would be great if it could be mapped out and planned for the Overtown area.
Right behind.
things that can make Overtown greater.
I guess you want to go first? Okay. Earlier you mentioned, I think you said the Ebenezer Church was here, right? To expound upon that, I think what's missing when Miami is marketed, it comes off very caricaturish. So you said it, but I didn't feel it. And I think what's missing is, what is Miami known for? Characters. When you travel the country, colorful, colorful characters. We're sitting down here and we heard like 3 police sirens, right? I think it sounds good, what we're saying, but I think experiences, are you familiar with the Sir John? Okay. The history of Overtown, the Sir John was where black entertainers would have to, they couldn't sleep on the beach and they would have to perform over here. So you have this rich history of characters, right? Why aren't those characters coming alive? Why isn't there a musical with Sammy Davis Jr., Billie Holiday, and it's a mock Sir John, where basically you're creating the experience, but it's real. It just doesn't sound good, right? And then when you do that, all these kids out here, you heard the police sirens, now they're saying, wow, Sammy, a legend, was here on this block. So now the community is engaged and a part of the story. And you're not selling the story, you're living the story because you're respecting the story. And I think experiences that are more real and authentic, that's engaging these people out here, they're gonna understand their history. And when you say tourism, right? You market a place, but it's like the Caribbean, you exoticize it. The beaches, the places, but the people don't matter. What makes tourists, what makes people really come to a place? The people. I just love, man, those remind me of great, they're amazing, but they gotta be engaged. We're sitting here and I heard police sirens, somebody probably got shot. I'm being honest. So, but Sammy Davis Jr. was here. Billie Holiday was here. If we're traveling this block, why isn't there a musical? Why aren't there street performers enacting these characters? And these people out here can be a part of that. So.
Before we even go further, I want you to know that we had that discussion just 2 hours ago, and Dr. Dorothy Fields said the same thing. 20th century characters from the early 1900s dressed up doing actual tours. So you read her mind, or, great minds think alike, as they say. Okay. Oh, ladies first. Thank you, Mr. Scott. Let the lady go first.
Good evening. I think in all of us who are involved in tourism and in just marketing Miami, we know as travelers as well that it's consistency. If I visit New Orleans and I eat in a restaurant, I want to feel that next year I'm going to go and I'm going to eat at that same restaurant and I'm going to have that same experience. If I go to a great show in New York, I want to go back a year later and experience again with a friend or a family member. I think many of the smaller organizations that are producing activities here in Miami, some of the great festivals, some of the weekly or monthly events, lack that consistency so the tourists can't depend on it. I got off the ship last year in May. I always take a trip with my family every May. I came again. That show isn't happening again. And the reasons are long and varied, lack of funding, so on and so forth. So I would love to see what's missing or expanded is I would love to see some revenue or funds set aside to help some of the great events. Not all the events are spectacular, but the ones that are really good, that are bringing in great audiences and that are consistent and providing a wonderful depiction of Miami, for some funding to be provided so that there can be some consistency. Because even in this space, what's your great show again? Sweet Butter. It's a great show. It should be here consistently. The event I produce in Little Haiti should be consistent. If we can have some consistency with these events, I think it'll attract tourists, and they'll see a reason to come to our neighborhoods because they know they'll always get something great when they come.
Question number 2 is a very profound question, especially in the time that we're dealing with. As a present time, there's a project going on in Overtown called the 395 expansion. As a part of the 395 expansion, which is going to bring a lot of change to Overtown, the underpassage of the bridge work is going to have a huge public space associated with it. And one of the things that I started discussion in this room months ago with project managers was literally the artistic enhancement of that project to reflect the history over time. And literally, as I speak with you, we just finished the last public meeting on last week.
Thursday.
On my beach. And we're looking to put a huge mural underneath that bridge that has faced a variety of different community and public things that reflect the Overtown heritage. We're looking to do contracting for those designs going forward. We have a partnership with city managers we've signed upon. And before I started, a brief time to speak with Commissioner Russell on this issue. And we had together in an event for that. I want you to understand that the thing that's really missing in Overtown right now is infrastructure. Infrastructure in the past, such as nightclubs, such as restaurants, such as a supermarket. There's not one decent supermarket in Overtown. There's nothing here of substance that will attract someone to come inside other than to drive through a big bus to city event to Overtown. We have a lot of historic monuments here that no one captures and put into some pamphlet to say, come and see the Overtown experience, such as the historic monuments to churches, the different houses that still remain. And yet, at the same time, there's a major planning effort and a change going on to create walking paths from Biscayne Boulevard all to 3rd Avenue. Also connect Little Haiti to Midtown and the Design Center, and coming through Wickwood and going north into Overtown. When the 395 bridge is finished just down the street here, anyone who knows what the project will tell you, life in Overtown will not be the same again. That's a fact. And the folk locally who should have input to it, most of them ignoring it. Even for employment opportunities, business opportunities, it's an $890 million project. And it's going to change Overtown. It has also a lot of opportunity associated with it to enhance the culture and history of Overtown. And I will tell you, as they come around trying to get more input from you and encourage not just the residents of Overtown, but the people of South Florida as a whole participating in the process. Less than 4 months ago, when this project was about to jump off, there were over 300 people living under the bridge. In less than a week, it was cleaned out. I stood in ceremony. No, they took them from under the bridge. They're mostly a lot of addicts. And took them off under the bridge. They're gone. I would tell anyone, if you want to do a crime, it can be done anywhere in this entire country. If there's a desire, the politicians or the people who want it done to do it. Remember Biscayne Boulevard 15 years ago? No one used their address. Winwood 10 years ago, no one used their address. Today they're a destination, am I correct? We can actually change this particular destination to and make it a very desirable one. All this can take is participation, cooperation, and determination to make it happen. We just design what we want, literally, we want our business right now. We're talking spending hundreds of millions of dollars. And it can enhance and make more ways than you can imagine. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to give one more comment here to this fellow, and then we're going to move to question 3.
Question 3.
There's such thing as preparation. What we have in Overtown is really a blank. You think of places like New Orleans or Harlem, we've got a unique ability to coordinate with the Greater Miami CBB, and Bill, congratulations to the team for being here. I think this is the first time we've had such a forum in Overtown. Am I correct? So it's always a beginning for all the businesses, and I can tell you because my parents had a business in this area for some 20 or 30 years. 20 or 30 years. And we stayed the course, and today it's going through an evolution. So when you look at tourism, the beauty is that, and I just looked at $266 million bill, $488,188. Just imagine a portion of that. And what tourism does is preparation. For those of you that are in business, you've got to really look at the resources that are available. We all need more funding. I need another $30 billion to buy more hotels. But at the end of the day, we've got to make sure that we work with the stakeholders that have an interest in developing Overtown so that when the the evolution, Sweet Buttercup. So we have an opportunity as tourists come, we're at the Port of Miami a couple times a month, talking with folks about the numbers of people that goes out of that port, that if we can start and begin to develop real programs, and we will. You're right, there may be nothing now to come. There's a Josephine Dunn Hotel down the street. There's the Carpador 2 blocks away. There's a Lyric Theater. 10 years ago, and I know Bill hates me to say this, 15 years ago when I came to Overtown, I allowed the SWAT team to bring me in. That is changing. So we have an opportunity to take this canvas and make it a real community where everybody can benefit. We're 4 or 5 blocks from Biscayne Boulevard. There's going to be a Marriott Marquis, 1,800 rooms down the street. So this is just part of a structure, an infrastructure, that it's time that we open our eyes and say, what do we put here? How do we develop the Jackson Soul Food? I mean, we're bidding on a piece of property to put a larger hotel in this market. 15 years ago, I wouldn't have thought about it. But I know that 10 years from now, what we do here today will determine how successful we are and this community becomes. Thanks.
I said I would give one more, but I
Please forgive me, I must make a statement very profound what Andy just said. When this bridge is completed, there's an arch, 6-level arch to be included in the bridge, and it will become the signature picture of Miami. Most people don't even hear about this arch. It's 370 feet above the highway as we pass through the center of Overtown. So when you see like the arches in Missouri, we're gonna have one the same height. It's gonna be wider. 6 arches with lights on it. That's what we here in Overtown. So when you see the Super Bowl comes to Miami, the heat gains, this is going to be the signature piece to demonstrate Miami. Not on the palm tree only. This is the bridge.
What I wanted to say, and respectfully I say this to Nicole, and I know your concerns and I know your angst when we talk about businesses from out of town coming into our community. But when you think of development, you think of anchors that help draw businesses into a particular community. So having a business that has notoriety come into the community is not a bad thing. But I hear what you say in terms of supporting the present businesses. But we also need to embrace those businesses that will help bring people into our community.
Thank you. That was a great commentary. We're going to move to question 3 now.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out tonight. So without a doubt, this community will grow and attract more tourism. And to the point earlier, let's not say maybe tourism, the visitor economy. It will grow, more people will come, more businesses will happen. It'll become nationally known. All the indicators are here. When we talk about growing the visitor economy, it's how do we get people to spend money in restaurants? How do we get hotels to invest? Right? All the different attractions, tours. But as this started now, there's another question in terms of how can the community benefit in other ways? Not just in terms of that dollar spent at a restaurant. So that's the question now. How can this community leverage the visitor economy to improve quality of life for everyone, for the broadest swath of the community?
Thank you so much for this question, because the thought was in mind as we talk about the vision is great, the vision is wonderful, but unless we include the locals, unless we include the residents, unless we value them and help them see this vision, the best way that the locals can get involved is by offering the young people job opportunities. Let's get the residents, and you will be amazed about the change when you change the vision or enhance the vision of a young person, the product of this very community, so that they don't feel excluded. They don't feel like they have to take advantage of the tourists or people who are coming in, but they feel like they're a part of it. from that perspective. So you know there are going to be some issues. So let's develop a plan, a real game plan for change. And let's get involved with those young people. The local businesses here are the moms and pops to those very young people. But now we need the tourism, the ones with you all who are coming together for this vision. Let's invest in that and not make the bar so high for them, because when you give a child a chance, a real chance and a real opportunity, they will take advantage of it. And guess what they will become? A motivational speaker like myself. Guess what they would do? They would start a nonprofit like I did. Guess what they would do? Go back to their community and promote the same change. So the best quality for the residents is jobs, and let's include them on this plan. That's all it takes. Okay?
So the comment was made earlier, and it was insightful. What happens in 10 years? It starts in this room tonight, right? The conversations we're having now, which align with this. Who else?
So I wanted to. So I'd like to talk, if we're talking real talk, about what is quality of life. There isn't a definition of quality of life for Fisher Island, Morningside, Kendall, Coral Springs. There's one definition for quality of life. So if we want quality of life in Overtown, Liberty City, and our heritage neighborhoods, we have to look at the things that we all want. Good housing, right? So you can be proud when you put your key in the door and people, the same tourists that we want to come and spend their money, they can see us going into housing. So is there a real plan? Is this going to be a patch-up plan? You know, this is really frustrating for me to sit here and listen to this. So we have to look at housing. We have to look at how we assist local businesses to renovate their frontage so that in other neighborhoods, we see the local businesses get painted up, and then what happens? The lights get bigger and brighter. And when the lights get bigger and brighter, even if no one is buying, it seems as if somebody is buying. That's not happening in Overtown. Do not tell me that Dr. Fields' 70 years is not 70, all of her life of work to imagine this space is going to be down to a conversation. Education, the schools, a facelift for the schools. You see the children walking to school in the mornings. I drive down here all the time. How can we make our residents feel that we truly want to invest in them? Why aren't they in here? I don't live in here. Why aren't some of our neighborhoods in here? So that they too can talk about what it is to feel proud of Overtown. We cannot only do it during Art Week. In Art Week, this place is magical. Magical. But still, the lighting on the streets, when I parked for Art Week in December, I was a little afraid, plenty afraid, to park my car and walk around. There were no lights. So lighting, housing, renovate parking, renovating our neighborhood stores, making this not be a food desert, putting a nice grocery. Those things these are practical things for quality of life. The other things that are happening are going to happen whether we agree with it or not. Okay? And
Actually build on that, because I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Some of these things you're talking about in terms of greater economic development are critically important. And you mentioned that quality of life means something in Canada or somewhere else, and you said you were frustrated. But then you look at Hialeah and looking at the same type of issues. Nationwide, a lot of these greater economic development and emerging destinations or underserved destinations, whatever you want to call those destinations, these are big, big issues that everyone's dealing with. Then you also talked about how do we embrace or encompass children and offer inspiration and get some brighter lights on. That's something then that we can talk about at another level. Specifically in terms of how we improve quality of life or provide more opportunities for more people by leveraging the visitor economy and visitors coming in. And when we talk about the visitor economy, it's not just leisure. You've got an amazing amount of money and intelligence and thought leadership coming to Miami on the meetings and events side. A lot of tech companies
residents that live and work here. That's what I'm talking about.
Agreed, and I think the fact that, from what I understand, this is the first time this kind of event has happened here in this community, which means that process is starting to a degree or more so. Anyone else who wants to speak to this comment, or please?
Okay, so my name is Andre Soligan. So I want to say a few things. Belief is based off of perception. And a lot of people say what they see in Overtown as they're driving through. Oh, as I drove through, I saw this as I drove through. I can say right now there are about 7 of us who are residents, business owners that live in this community, 100%. So we don't drive through anything. We walk. We walk, 100%. Walk down the worst places where some of you would not dare to walk because we know people there. Hey, what's going on in the community? Hey, come by my office and come see me and I got you. I'll take care of you. In order to say what this community really needs, you have to walk in this community. You can't just drive by and say, hey, look at that. Because your perception may see one thing, but that may be something totally different going on. But we'll know exactly because anybody who knows town knows that everybody in town knows each other. And we all converse with one another and tell. To improve the quality of life for tourism, you have to make people here believe that this community is what it really is supposed to be, right? Perception is everything, belief is everything. If people don't believe that their community is great, then how can they portray that the community is great? How can they? I'm lost. Maybe y'all can help me. Maybe I'm right. Okay, and I'm gonna let 2 more seconds. Right? So with that being said, it's all about belief. It's all about belief in the community. It's all about enhancing the people that live here, belief in the community. And that's simply by keeping your word. That's it. Keep your word and show that you care about the community as opposed to just talking about it. You care about it. Actions speak louder than words.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Excellent. I align with a lot of things that everybody's saying. And, I mean, listening at all the answers and opinions that everybody's giving and focusing on the question of the growth of tourism here in Miami is forever going to grow more and more and more. We have a lot to offer. I mean, I see your viewers, travel, tourism, jobs. That's your answer for the quality of life for residents. You know, because we're talking over here, we have a bill over $21 million, biggest one-dollar industry, annual development. But it takes money to make a lot of things happen. And it takes the effort to make a community realize that they are what it is all about. You know, you really would need to leverage and come up with a plan that can make that happen. And like she mentioned, magical things will happen, good things are happening, but engaging the locals and the community and offering all these things that are placing because you're ready to have your master plan and it's strategic and it's amazing because it takes one thing to get it started and those 2 follow through.
Okay, right here.
Are we there in making that come through? Or is just a conversation that's going to stay here? We don't know that. But in good faith, we'll have excellent results. But my understanding is that is your answer right there. Create jobs, so you have a better quality of life.
So, just maybe I'm a little ignorant to the conversation. I heard some people say that this is the first time that this conversation has happened in this community. I've attended some other events here where there was similar conversation, but to my understanding, GMCVB is here to see what they can do to help with the growth of tourism in this community. And I'm sitting and I'm listening, and it sounds like, you know, we're just presenting a lot of problems that we have that maybe we are expecting them to have solutions to, like job creation and things like that. And just to give my little 2 cents, if jobs are a problem here locally, and if we're trying to figure out how to improve the quality of life even aside from the assistance of GMCVB, I believe that a lot of the solutions are within. So I'm just a firm believer that if there are no jobs available, you create one. So we have a lot of youth groups and youth organizations in Overtown, and along with youth groups comes volunteers or children with talent who can create the street dancers that you were talking about earlier. There's Folk Life Friday, that is an event that is happening consistently every month. So why don't we connect with some of those youth groups so that they can provide the entertainment? You know, children love doing things and they love doing it for free. Someone mentioned New Orleans earlier, but if you go to New Orleans, those are children out on the sides of the street beating the drums with their tip jar out, and they have an adult there who splits the tips throughout, you know, after the night, after they're finished with their presentation. That's income. It may not be a formal job, but it's income. So I just don't like to complain about problems, complain about not having jobs. You know, when I couldn't get hired anywhere, I created a company. And, you know, I believe that that's the same thing that we should be sharing with the youth here. We shouldn't be using not having jobs as an excuse for us to not have a viable community, for whatever else, you know, we complain about. And not to say that the people in this community are complaining. It's just I'm hearing a lot of that here in this meeting today. So like I said, I know that there is a consistent event that happens every month. So maybe, like I said, maybe as a community we can partner with the Overtown Youth Center and some other organizations to get the youth involved, which is our responsibility as business owners or stakeholders or residents of the community. And then we'll be able to, you know, let the GMCVB know what they can do to promote that, so that, you know, Overtown is seen as whatever image it is that we're trying to get it seen as.
Very small. Also, we talked about wanting this body here to be more present in the neighborhood. Well, I rarely see any of the promotions of this, or what you guys are, what you guys do in Overtown. I think that's something that should happen a little bit more. And somebody alluded to it back there saying about certain images, pictures of past times. I think some collaboration between the Black Archives and GMCB, which you guys can another way, should work together to help display some of those images. Right now, it does not exist other than the ones that we the CRA that are working on, but I think it also is a collaborative effort that should be also done by you all. I would also say, Winwood just went through a massive street, sidewalk, lighting, and I think that was in conjunction with the city of Miami. I would say, to help balance that, if you guys can also begin to advocate on whatever boards that you're serving on, as in conjunction with the county and at the city level, if not the state level as well, about tourism, to also include those those neighborhoods that you know that your tourism folks are going to be a part of those enhanced policies. That should be something that should be talked about. Because this is not something, as you heard here today, many folks are already saying, this is a conversation we've been having. But I think if we're being intentional, let's look at the things that directly impact the people, that impacts everyone, whether they're a tourist or a resident. The sidewalks, the lighting, the signage, those things you guys can directly get behind.
services and initiatives for its members and partners.
One of the initiatives I think you guys should get behind, or at least begin looking into developing. A good friend of mine, Judy Barr, has been working on this kiosk program that is designed to give vendors an opportunity to sell their merchandise in various street corners throughout Overtown as those big tour buses are coming in. Right now, many of those buses that come in, there's not really anything there. And I think with a little assistance from this organization here being set up, I think working together to be able to place those, develop a program to give vendors an opportunity to be able to sell their merchandise outside on those street corners when those big buses are riding through. I think it's something that is worthwhile because if you go to other neighborhoods throughout this country, you see a lot of that going on here. And I think neighborhoods like Overtown, Liberty City, Little Haiti, I think they would greatly benefit if they also, if this program was at least looked into, worked on a little bit, and kind of tweaked to get that opportunity developed. I think that would be something that would be beneficial to this neighborhood as well.
Great idea. Kiosk program. Over here.
Quickly, I believe that an initiative and a program that the DCBB should have to pursue, like for the locals, is help them understand to be tourism ready. Every business needs to have knowledge of tourism readiness. You mentioned like social media, things that they might not have a budget to put in advertising because they're small business operated, but guide them to be ready so they can receive tourism, which is going to be their bread and butter of their trip from Miami. And they're part of that is let us know, listen, this is the program, this is the guidance, this is how you can understand tourism, and we will work together and we will strive together because you are part of the tourism here in Miami.
And part of that was what you talked about earlier about how to deal with social media and some of these other initiatives.
I mentioned anchors in a community, and I believe Folk Like Friday is probably the oldest anchors in terms of events happening in this community, correct? So if the CBB was to do a hard marketing program to get locals to really come out on that first Friday, when we are here, then other people, like we said, when we're here, when the locals are here, then other folks are going to want to come here. So I think that is a good opportunity to push what is happening in Overtown.
Great idea. Thank you. We have a lady right here.
So to the point of Keon, correct?
Yes.
So to the point of his comments about having a kiosk program, in other neighborhoods, people are just creative and take liberty. So if a few years ago, you walked down this, Northwest 2nd Avenue in Wynwood. Is that Northwest? Yeah, down Wynwood. All of a sudden, on anybody's alley, there are 15 stores that have popped up. People got a table, put their wares out, and you find, when you go back over the last 3 years, hundreds of thousands of people have shopped at their stores because they keep going there. So the issue, and I'm going to bring it back down, I'm going to run it back to this. 5 years ago, they thought Craig Robbins was crazy. They thought he was crazy a long time ago, but they really thought he was crazy building all this design stuff and bringing all these brands, the red bottom shoes, and like, who the hell is going to the design district? They are scared to go to the design district. I live near there. I know how scary it can be. So at the same time, you build it, they come. And of course, he had the wherewithal to bring all the money, but he also is guaranteeing that he's going to bring people from a bus, from a boat, from a train, from somewhere. He's going to find a way to get people there. So now you look at the design district where there was nobody going, hardly ever anybody, and then there would be a little music, and then there would be a little art, and then they go weeks without people. Every night you go to the design district right now, there's something to do, somewhere to go, somewhere to be seen. The same thing can happen to Overtown, but you have to have a beautification project. You do have to have the lighting. You do have to have the signage. You do have to have a path for people to walk to. That's what you need here. That's what we need here to come back. I want a way to come here and be safe. Like he spoke about the sirens going on and on and on and on. It's problematic. And people are still scared to come here. So I have girlfriends that say, I'm going to Overtown. I say, oh, girl, you go get shot. I am not going to get shot. I don't believe in that. I have to go where I have to go, but everybody doesn't think like me. So there has to be a way to educate our entire community about the benefits of being in Overtown. I think the GMVCB, all those initials that I can't never get in the right order, does a great job. I am so proud of the Art of Black. I am so proud of all the things that they are doing where they are involving the community. But we have to take one step further and come to Overtown and dig in and do what we need to do.
Just for the record, in case I see Bill Talbert has gone white, I think I'm concerned that I'm advocating that the CBD fund all of these initiatives. That is not the case. But what we are seeing in many communities now is the CBD is really playing a major catalytic role in terms of rallying the community together to really realize some of these beautification programs, infrastructure improvements, to really take the destination and the residential neighborhoods to a different level. Next comment?
Just as a continuation of something what people spoke to me before me said, I think an incentive program for some of the big tour buses and some of our local tourism groups, some incentive programs to encourage them to come into the heritage neighborhoods. A lot of people feel that the tourists will naturally come, but they need someone to guide them. And the tour companies need to be able to pay these guys and produce great materials and, create that environment for the tourists. So an incentive program for the tour companies and for the tour buses would be awesome. And then again, promoting some of the programs that have been in these local communities for a long time and that have been consistent in producing quality events, like Folk Fridays, like Sounds Melody, like some of the other festivals that are happening in our local neighborhoods.
Great comments. Thank you.
Well, I'm willing to see Bill go a little wider because I understand what the Bureau can do. Okay? Because the Bureau helped in the Black boycott, okay? They understood what Black tourism meant to this city. And my comment is this. Public policy issues have to be addressed. Everybody has mentioned relevant public policy issues in one form or another. The issue of economic development, the issue of housing, and the issue of homelessness, okay? We can't really approach it like saying we have to push people to the next corner. We need some resolution. If it means being a part of that compact that advocates for additional homeless beds, the Bureau will be a part of that. You don't have to lift it all, but there's certainly, some intertwined reason, concerns and actions that need to really be coalesced around. So I'm willing to work with the rest of the community and with the Bureau to make those things happen. We know it shouldn't all be handled on your back, but we definitely know we need some collaborators from both the city and the county to help make this thing go. And this is the perfect test lab, okay? Because if you solve or reasonably address the issues in Overtown, you can take it to anywhere in the world.
Great message.
Hi, Trina Harris, Overtown resident, director of a nonprofit that works with children and youth in the area, and business owner here in Overtown that has a men's retail clothing store. So I sit and listen to everything that's said, and yes, we've had these conversations about Overtown in the past. This isn't the first time that these conversations have been had. Also, just to kind of reframe some of the questions that has been asked already. One of the questions was to talk about what's the best experiences that are happening today in Overtown. One thing I think about is service, good customer service and experience. When you walk into restaurants where you have individuals like a Nicole that will greet you, know you by name, and have a great conversation with you to make you come back, that's what we need in Overtown. We need to continue to have other businesses that reflect the same things of that nature. Two, we need to be honest with business owners that are in the community of Overtown now, that are doing businesses and events that are not up to par. We need to have honest discussions to get them to that level. I traveled the world to go to experience certain things. Currently, some of the events that we're having, I'm not calling anyone out, or some of the restaurants that are here in Overtown, they need to step it up. And we need to have the honest conversations to make that happen for people to continue to come back. We don't want to be a one-hitter quitter in Overtown. We want them to come back to our community. 2, the question regarding how to include our residents and make their quality of life not be affected by the tourism. We need to provide them the knowledge of what's happening, 1. 2, we need to invite them to the experience. There are so many times where there are events in Overtown where our residents don't feel included, they're not invited, they feel like they're outcasts in their own community. So we need to do what we need to do to include them into the conversation or provide them the knowledge of what's happening in our community. 3, the new initiatives that we need to create as programs. I would say 1, an evaluation of current businesses that are in our area to promote them, to help them get to that level, whether it's expansion, whether it's knowledge to create, increase the quality of their businesses and help them to grow. Thank you.
Actually, the closing remarks are going to come from my boss, and that's the Silver Fox Phil Tower himself. I did want to say something that some of the ideas we, under Connie's leadership and Carol Ann, one of these training going deeper and wider in terms of some of the basic marketing skills, social media. You know, we've got an amazing social media. Maika, wave your hand. And I sense that in the near future we will be rolling out to further expand the Tourism Business Enhancement Program to include some of that marketing 101. And social media, for better or for worse, folks, it can make or break you. It's crazy stuff, crazy stuff. But I do remember coming into your place not too long ago, Caroline Taylor, and you greeted me like I had been there 100 times, so thank you, Nicole, for that. So Bill, why don't you bring it home, and I guess if there's any additional questions that weren't asked, I know we're almost out of time, but Bill?
It's silver, not white. Who said white?
Silver.
Right, Carol Ann? It's silver. I've been listening to every word, a lot of energy. It's not the first time we've been on the street. We had Chair Hardiman gave me a personal tour here when this was under development. So we actually had a board meeting here not too long ago. So this is a church, and it's appropriate that it's the Overtown Performing Arts Center. You know, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. I've been on these streets for 50 years, worked with model cities. It's a journey, right, Carol Ann? But we're just starting. But, you know, in terms of, it was 5 years ago we went through this process, and one of the things we formed the Multicultural Tourism and Development Department. There's no bureau in the world that has the capacity building of businesses. When Ms. Taylor, we sat down, and most places say somebody else does that. Well, we said, you know what, we'll give it a shot. We'll give it a shot. And I think the earlier meeting, the TBE graduates were there, so that's all about capacity building. But I've listened to every word. Thank you all for being, I guess it's appropriate since this is the church. But let me also, this came from last time. We spent a fair amount of time on the public policy side. We spent half a day today at the Miami Beach City Commission. This afternoon, we were at the County Commission. We were on the phone for an hour about the Visit Florida funding in Tallahassee. I serve on the Camilla South board. So there's a lot of stuff we do, and we do testify on a lot of infrastructure issues. So that was really an outcome of the last strategic plan. So I want everybody to think of one thing, 2024, right? This is 5 years. 5 years, that's when this is for. So it's not about tomorrow, it's about what we're going to be doing 5 years from now. So we better be getting better because the world is getting better. You know, we've had infrastructure improvements, but the world is doing that too. So, but we have a great destination, there's no doubt about that. To plug the website, destinationmiami.org. Lyrictheater.org, I guess, lyrictheater.org. So with that, I'm going to ask Ms. Taylor. Ms. Taylor, do you, also Mr. West is here. You were at some meetings. Our Senior Vice President for Finance and Administration, our Chief Financial Officer. If you want money, Al has the money. Right, Al? Huh? Right? So with that, Ms. Taylor, you want to bring it home? Let's hear it from Ms. Taylor.
It's been a long journey that has been worth every last minute of it. And when you look around a room like this and see all of us involved in the largest, most lucrative industry in this city, we have to do everything we can. And I agree that Overtown is the perfect location to begin this effort in. And I think that if we all can work with the city and the county, this is an entertainment district, and that gives us special privileges in Overtown that we need to take advantage of. I think that we can turn this around by 2024. God bless all of you.
Move to adjourn. Let's party.